Hello everyone, welcome to MVP Vishwakosha. Today we are discussing 10th September 2025 current affairs. In that first point, that is about Nepal protest, okay, and also Generation Z protest, okay. So in that exam perspective, that trigger that government move to block or ban access to set popular social media apps, right? Reportedly 26 apps. So that triggered and that tightened social media regulations, so widely seen as censorship. So this protest escalated in early September, right? And also that Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli resigned. And also some of the casualties, violence, also reported around 19 people killed in clash with security force during the first days. And large-scale rioting include burning of government buildings and all. So very important in this perspective that who led that movement. Okay, so actually that movement widely described as Gen Z led young activists using platforms such as TikTok, Viber, and other network to mobilize. So immediate political fallout because of this. PM KP Sharma only resigned. Some ministers, example Home Minister, okay, all that also tendered resignations, and government lifted a social media ban after violence escalated. So on that, very important that government announces implemented social media restrictions because of that protest. All that in Kathmandu spread nationwide protest. Violent as that violence escalates. Okay, so all that in the exam perspective, this governance and civil liberties. Okay, so in that censorship versus regulation, and also some youth politics and digital mobilization, socio-economic drivers. Okay, and also political instability and constitutional implications and security and human rights, regional geopolitics, diploma, seeing that neighborhood response, okay, India's response, all that is very important. Okay, next point, that is about recent news, that is Russia's newly announced mRNA based cancer vaccine, okay, that is enteromix. Okay, so Russia unveiled enteromix, an mRNA-based cancer vaccine personalized to target individual tumor profile. So that demonstrated 100% efficacy and safety in early clinical, preclinical trials. Okay, and also some conducted within 48 volunteers. Okay, and also observed tumor shrinkage of 60 to 80% altered progression and no serious side effects. And also some of the institutional backing that developed by Russia's National Medical Research Radiology Center and that is England Institute of Molecular Biology, regulated by the Federal Medical and Biological Agency. So in this very important that initial target that colorectal that cancer variant of glioblastoma and melanoma under development. In this then policy that Russia plans to make enteromix available free to patient upon regulatory approval, and also some of the caution that analysts urge caution result are early sample size small and also independent peer review finding. So all that exam perspective, Russia's personalized mRNA cancer vaccine, that is enteromix, 100% efficacy and safety, and national origin, that is National Medical Research Radiology Center and Institute. Okay, all that pre-SS announced, all that is in the perspective of biotechnology and health governance, ethics and testing protocol, public health infrastructure, India's strategic posture, global health diplomacy, all that perspective is very important. Okay. Next news that is about India's participation in the recent BRICS virtual summit. Okay, that is for External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. So India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi skipped the BRICS virtual summit, sending External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in his place. So some of them, this Jaishankar delivered India's message, emphasizing the need for a stable, predictable global trade environment, particularly amid tariff tension triggered by the Trump administration, and also a fair, transparent, inclusive, rules-based international trading system, along with the special and differential treatment for developing countries, and also support for BRICS members in reducing trade deficit, and also that is a warning against complicating trade or linking it to an non-trade matters. Okay, so very important that virtual BRICS summit and BRICS country that member countries. Okay, and also India's representations. Okay, PM Modi absent and represented by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, right? So, that themes in that is open trade, transparent trade, stable global trade environment, support for developing countries, and also reducing intra-BRICS trade deficit. Okay, all that in that diplomacy and symbolism, that representation matters. That sending Jaishankar instead of Modi signals a calculated diplomatic posture. Okay, and also in the international trade and multilateralism, that rules-based equitable trade system with concession for developing countries, aligning with the India's long-standing global trade policy, and also emphasis on reducing trade deficit within BRICS. Okay, and also strategic balancing, policy implication for India. Okay, all that perspective, that BRICS and all very important. Next point, that is about India's participation in the Russia-led exercise Japan 2025. Okay, so in that event exercise, that Japan, okay, 2025, Russia-Belarus joint strategic military exercise that will held from 12 to 16 September 2025. It is hosted in Belarus. So India's role, a 65-member contingent from India's armed force is participating, and also it includes 57 from the Indian Army, led by Battalion of Command Regiment, and also 7 from the Indian Air Force and 1 from the Indian Navy. So main objective, it is the multinational drills aims to enhance the defensive readiness with focus areas including counter-terrorism and cooperation among allied states. So exercise name you should know, Japan 2025. Okay, we're going to held on that is 12 to 16 September 2025. Participants India, Belarus, Russia, and observer include several nations, and also India's contingent compositions: Army, Air Force, Navy, and all. And purpose: defense preparedness and interoperability in a multilateral strategic environment, and strategic diplomacy and military engagement, and military readiness and operational exposure, and defense diplomacy and global signaling. Okay, and also policy implication for India, all that perspective, exam perspective, strategic integration, operational benefit, geopolitical balancing, policy implication, all that perspective, it is very important. Next point, that is about India's engagement with the Universal Postal Union. Okay, particularly that attendance of the Indian communication ministers. Okay, that is 28th Universal Postal Congress. That is highest decision-making event of Universal Postal Union. Okay, it held in Dubai. Okay, from 8 to 19 September 2025 under the theme "Leading the Change, Creating the Future." This was officially launched when a theme and logo unveiling in July 2025. India's representation, Union Minister of Communication, Jyotiraditya M. Scindia, okay, attended the Congress, okay, on 8 September 2025, representing India's interest in global postal cooperation. So UPU, that is Universal Postal Union. So global mandate, that UP is a specialized agency of the United Nations, established in 1874, and serves as the foremost body for cooperation in the postal sector and among 192 member countries. And also, Congress frequency role, that the Universal Postal Congress convenes once every 4 years, shaping future strategy and global postal governance. And India's role represented by that minister and emphasize digitalization, e-commerce, and postal sector reforms. So in this perspective, all that India's digital agenda and postal diplomacy, postal modernization, digital delivery, and all that UPI integration, all that 5-star villages, strategic multilateral engagement, linkage with broader postal unions. Okay, that is consisting with ongoing efforts such as creation of that is UPU regional office in New Delhi. Okay, all that connectivity, modernization, inclusive service, all that perspective, it is very important. Next point, that is about a recent development in France government, that Francoisbairusresign PM for government. Okay, that is appointment of that is Sebastien Lecornu as Prime Minister. So in that recent change, Prime Minister's change, on 9th September 2025, President Emmanuel Macron appointed Sebastien Lecornu as France's new Prime Minister. He replaces Francois who was ousted after losing a confidence vote. And also that Lecornu had served as a defense minister and is known as loyal Macronist. So in this political contest, that Bayro's downfall came after Parliament slammed his authority focused 2026 budget with no confidence vote. It is in a deeply divided political environment. Some of the challenges, all that because newly appointed that PM that Macron's task to unify that fractured parliament, that pass a critical 2026 budget and also restore political stability amid rising deficit concern. Okay, and also some protest unrest that parallel of to the transition, large scale protest by the block everything movement, causing past yellow vest demonstration. Authorities have mobilized 80,000 police officers in the anticipation. So all that exam perspective, that new PM, all that, and okay, and also immediate challenges and economic note. Also political instability and institutional strain, physical crisis and governance dilemma, and Macron's political and having socio-economic and democratic followed implication for global and European policy. All that is very important. Next point, that is Himachal Pradesh fully literate under ULLAS, okay, New India Literacy Program. So that Himachal Pradesh was formally declared as fully literate state, achieving a 99.3% literacy rate. This place it alongside Goa, Mizoram, Tripura, and allied category of fully literate region. So the state's literacy rate has impressively climbed from just 7% in 1951 to present level. So you should know about that program. LAS means that understanding of lifelong learning for all in society, also known as the New India Literacy Program, NILP. Okay. So Chief Minister Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu, during the International Literacy Day function in Shimla, so literacy rate 99.3%, highest in India. Former level from 7% in 1951 to 99.3% in 2025. Join that Goa, Mizoram, Tripura is being fully literate, and very important that education and social development role of that ULLAS, okay, and also policy and continuity and governance, equity, inclusion, all that is regions, okay, Himachal Pradesh news and all very important. Next point, there is pallascat, Manul, okay, that is recently captured in Arunachal Pradesh, okay, first ever photographic evidence. So it is a landmark wildlife survey in Gong, Arunachal Pradesh, operating over 2,000 square kilometer with 136 camera traps across 83 locations at a 13,700 feet elevation. It captured first ever photograph of pallascat in Indian Eastern Himalaya. So the significance that no previous record existed in Arunachal. So multiple news outlets report this unprecedented findings, cementing this region role as a global biodiversity hotspot. Okay, and also WWF that India corporate noticing that 6 wild cat species, including pallascat, were recorded above 4,200 meter in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, you should know about that species. Okay, in the exam they will ask about species in news, right? So on that pallascat, that origin and all, so known as Manul. Location: Tawang, Arunachal Pradesh. First photographic evidence wildlife survey using 136 camera traps across 83 locations. Confirms species in Eastern Himalayas, underscores the region rich biodiversity and research gaps. All that biodiversity and conservation significance, importance of systematic survey, species conservation, policy and institutional actions, all that perspective that pallascat spotted, all that is very important. Next news, that India-Israel investment pact, okay, recent India-Israel bilateral investment agreement. So India and Israel signed bilateral investment agreement in New Delhi. Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Israeli counterpart Bezalel Smotrich led the signing. So Israel became the first OECD member country to sign the strategic investment agreement under the India's revamped bilateral investment agreement. Okay, that model. BIT model, and also the treaty is crafted to boost reciprocal investment, bolster investors' confidence, and that serves as a lead up to broader economic integration, including potential free trade agreement. Okay, talks some core features in that it ensures safeguard on expropriation, transparency, non-discriminatory treatment, and also smooth fund transfer, and also independent arbitration framework. So in that current investment landscape, present bilateral investment stand up approximately USD 800 million, bilateral trade and nearly USD 4 billion. So all that perspective agreements, India-Israel bilateral investment agreement, and first of its kind, that is Israel is the first OECD nation to strategic BIT under India's new model. And signatories, okay, finance ministers, investment trade, that $800 million investment, okay, bilateral trade, Okay, and also create provisions, investor protection, arbitration, transparency, non-discrimination, all that reforms, all that catalyst and investment expansion, reformed BATs and strategic signaling, trade and strategic convergence, geopolitical multilateral context, policy impact and implications, all that perspective is very important. Okay. Next news, that is recent, that is development around the appointment of India's 15th Vice President. Okay, that is CP Radhakrishnan. Okay. In that Vice President election held that 9th September 2025, that Parliament elected Chandrapuram Pannuswamy, okay, CP Radhakrishnan as India's 15th Vice President. Okay, following the resignation of the Jagdeep Dhankar, right? July. So in that Radhakrishnan secured 452 first preference vote against 300 for the opposition candidate, that is retired Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy. Okay, and this is very important. You should know about the election procedures and that electoral college, okay, who are taking place in this. Okay, all that perspective is very important. And political reaction, that senior leaders from Maharashtra and India Alliance congratulated him, praising his dedicated public service and leadership. However, opposition bloc IND highlighted internal dissent with at least 15 instances of cross-voting, suggesting cracks within the opposition and concern over bloc cohesiveness and focus and vision. In his initial remark, Vice President Radhakrishnan emphasized the importance of cooperative federalism, promoting harmony between the center and states as the foundation of a strong democracy. Okay. So you should know about new president, 15th president, CP Radhakrishnan, secured vote, okay, resignation procedures and voting procedures, constitution and institutional process, opposition disunity and political signal, federalism on democratic governance, regional representation and social balance, symbolic and strategic role. All that perspective is very important. Okay, that is about CP Radhakrishnan elected as Vice President. Okay, last news. Okay, that is about 10th September 2025 current affairs. Thank you. Support me for further videos so that I can analyze all the topics required for UPSC and all competitive exams. Thank you.